I will introduce you to Simon Zutshi. We're going to give him a very big round of applause. He's an international speaker, an author, a property investor, and in 2003 he made the decision to share that knowledge that he gained over the last how many years with people to help them become financially free through property. But he also has spent a lot of time helping people with their mindset, because that's just as important as the techniques that you will use. It's what's going on between your ears that will ultimately decide how far you get in this business. So let's have a big round of applause for Simon Zutshi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I always like the energy here. It's fantastic. Can I see a show of hands who is currently, in the last 6 months or so, has been investing in property? So who's actually purchased in the last 6 months? Okay. Who would like to purchase in the next 6 months? Okay. And just to check again, who has walked into the wrong room? Because there are always a few people, but always just worth checking. Well, hello, my name's Simon Zutshi, and I'm really pleased to be back here at Berkshire Property Meet again. Last time I was here, I think it was when Dolph came down, Dolph Tarous. Anyone heard of Dolph Tarous? Anyone here, Dolph Tarous? He was good, wasn't he? Yeah. And it's great to go to all these different network meetings, and we run meetings all around the country as well. I'll tell you about those later. So you can't go to all of them, but it's nice to kind of check in and see lots of familiar faces. So hello to everyone. And what I want to do tonight is something a little bit different. You know, when I always talk to Justin about what we're going to talk about, we talk about mindset, because mindset is so absolutely important, because many people, they know all the strategies, they've got all the ideas, but they just don't take action. I'm sure there's no one in here is like that, but sometimes they're there. And so we thought we could talk about mindset, and I'm kind of fairly well known for that. But what I thought I'd like to do is talk a bit more about the business side of your property investing. Because I think you need to treat it as a business. Who thinks that's a good idea? There are too many people out there who are dabbling. And I know why that happens, because most people, myself included, get into property by mistake. You have a house, and for something makes you say, well, you know what, I'm going to buy another one, but not sell this one. Maybe it's you meet someone, or you just want to move area, whatever it might be, but you get out a property by mistake. Who has that happened to? Does that mean you're all really know exactly what you're doing, and this is a big strategy? I don't believe it. No, you kind of fall into this thing. That's what happened to me 14 years ago. And when I bought my very first house, I'd actually finished university at Birmingham. I was joined the great masses of the unemployed. Well, I did very briefly and thought, this isn't any good. And I did some telesales jobs just so I was employable while I was applying for proper graduate jobs, and finally got a job at Cadbury's. And I was offered the chance to go to Boots to do their finance program, or Cadbury's to do manufacturing chocolate. Which do you think I did? Chocolate, great. And had a great time then. Because I was able to get a good job, I was able to then get a mortgage, and so I bought my first house on a 95% mortgage, residential property. And I didn't have the 5% deposit, because I left university, I was in debt, and I had to borrow the 5%. So my very first property purchase, although I didn't know it at the time, was a no money down deal, because I was using other people's money. And then after that, something happened. I must have fallen over and bumped my head, because I started putting money into deals. And I went to a financial expert. Who do you think I went to, by the way, to get some financial advice? The bank, of course. Who else should you go to? So I went to Lloyd's Bank, spoke to their financial advisor. It wasn't until a few years later I realized that he wasn't an independent financial advisor. You see, he could tell me all about the products that Lloyd's Bank had. And he did. And when I explained what I wanted to do, and I wanted to move out of the house I'd been living in, and I was sharing with some friends who were still at university, and their rent kind of paid the mortgage, and I thought, oh, that's good. Kind of got me interested in property. And I said, well, I'm going to rent this one out to students, because it's just next to university, and I'll get positive cash flow, and it'll be really good. And I'm going to buy this new one, and I'm going to rent it out to my friends like I'm doing at the moment. And the IFA said, oh, that sounds very risky. Very risky. We can only lend you 70%. So I had to put 30% into my second property, and I guarantee that is the most percentage I've ever had to put into a property ever since. Because having done a few properties and the values went up and I added value, remortgage, take the money out, buy more, etc., I got to the point where I ran out of money. Who's that happened to? If it hasn't happened to you, you haven't bought enough properties yet.